I'll first go to Ian Bell to try and settle this storm that's been created on social media on England's approach after tea, where they batted 19 and a half overs, Belly, scored 59 runs, batted significant time. What did you make of all that?
Oh, a little bit bizarre, to be honest with you. I mean, they will be kicking themselves tomorrow night if they don't go on and win this game. I still believe they've got enough to go on and win it, but there's certainly growing frustration from this side. England supporters desperate to see the game move forward. I think England have obviously had a plan. They've got a number in their head of when they want the second new ball tomorrow, towards the end of the day, when that's going to be, a hard ball tomorrow morning. But it was a little bit frustrating. All the hard work that England seemed to have done and played so well. It felt like we just sort of allowed India to, and I would imagine India was so happy for time just to be ticking away. Again, there was no real urgency tonight with the ball. We weren't hustling round overs and fielders with lots of energy. So a little bit frustrated, I think, from an English point of view of how we've played so well, but not really, pushed it home tonight. And it would have been so much better with Josh Buttler, playing his way with one of the best ball strikers in the world and maybe declaring 8 down rather than we sort of limped off the field, let Ashwin get 6 for a bit of a frustrating way to finish from an English point of view.
Now, it's the sort of situation where if they win with 15 overs to spare tomorrow, Sanjay, you think, oh, England knew what they were doing. So will the result vindicate this decision, or are you with Ian Bell on this, that it was a bit inexplicable, their tactics after tea?
Yeah, largely agree with Ian as to his opinion, what happened there. But I'll try and get inside the head of the England team management at the think tank. They've looked at this pitch and they found this to be a curious pitch. This is not your typical Indian ranked turner. Ian wasn't there earlier when we actually named this pitch as a flat turner. And that's one of the reasons why England may have felt obliged to bat a little longer, shows their little bit of maybe insecurity because India is playing at home and they've off late, done some wonderful things chasing. Just a little wary of that, giving themselves a little more cushion for the 2 possible results. If they can't win it, let's at least try and draw it. And that's where the time element comes. So yes, you would want England to be positive and only think about winning this. But the pitch has just thrown a bit of a spanner in the wheel for them.
What do you make of Sanjay's comments on that, Belly, that this surface is not breaking up as much as perhaps England would have expected for a day 4, day 5 bowling to India in the 4th innings? Therefore, the insecurity of not knowing how much is enough and therefore just keep betting.
Yeah, I agree with those comments. And I know there's a lot of talk about, India chasing 12 years ago in 2008, where Virender Sehwag played incredibly like this evening. And then Sachin Tendulkar was an absolute masterclass of 100. But that's a long, long time ago, different players. I hope England weren't thinking along those lines. But I also do think that it probably shows a little bit that necessarily the confidence in Bess and Leach isn't 100% at the moment. And as Sanjay said there, maybe just a little bit more time out of the game. Make sure that the draw is an option. And certainly watching our 2 spinners, they're not at that highest level yet. They're still at the start of their careers. And maybe that confidence wasn't there just to believe, let's just go out and try and win the game. So I think there's a bit of that in there as well. And I just hope from an English point of view, we've played so well coming into this series against a very, very good India side who are top of the world, full of confidence. We've had a great opportunity to win a game. I just hope we don't let this slip that by. But again, it might look brilliant tomorrow if we go out and win. Fantastic. All the decisions were right. But there'll be a little bit of pressure, I would have thought, looking back on these last couple of hours in the evening. If we don't get over the line and then we lose the toss in the next test match and then we're under a lot of pressure.
Yes, Sanjay?
Yeah, fair comments. Nothing more to add on that.
Okay. All right. I thought you were willing to jump in on that. I find that interesting, though, just whether they have that sort of confidence in Leach and Bess, the spinners. Now, Belly says that's the start of their career. You're not quite sure. And I don't know how much of this also has to do with the fact that they did bowl poorly on the 4th morning. Runs came easily for India, even their lower middle order. We'll come back to you, Belly. And just in terms of the reputation that this Indian team have garnered, and I spoke to Sanjay about this at tea, does that already start playing into the mind of the captain, the kind of batsmen India have? Rohit Sharma, if he takes off, Kohli is there, Pant with what he can do, that all of a sudden, even 4.5, as long as things aren't extremely hard to bat on, is gettable. Does that sort of impression already start being generated into opposing captains against the type of players that India has?
Maybe, and that's probably why they've batted on a little bit longer. I think sometimes you have to be a little bit willing to lose the game to win a game as well. I think England were in that position. It's not like that Test match 12 years ago where I think we got 380, 370 first innings. England were dominating this game for 3 days. And as I said, from an India point of view, I just think they were happy. The longer this England innings went on, the happier they were. I think, there's definitely no doubt this India batting lineup, they're not going to fail necessarily like they did first innings, or that certainly those players are world-class players. They don't do that too often. So, there'll be no doubt there was, the respect for this Indian side will be huge in that dressing room, but they had to believe from this position. Again, I mean, if India knock off 400 plus, then you shake their hands and say, well done. It just believed that maybe it was a little bit negative, and you've really got to go for the win in this position because, again, the next Test match, we might be in a very, very different position.
Sure, it is England's advantage to try and...
Ian has made the right points. I just want to, again, try and get into the brains of, the coach and the captain as to why England have been a little conservative. One is something that we talked at lunchtime as well, Raunak, that they've got 4 bowlers and Ben Stokes is an option. But they don't have 3 seamers who are willing to bowl long spells and bowl their hearts out. You've seen the way Joe Root has handled the 3 seamers. Ben Stokes has hardly bowled at all. So when he's looking at his bowling attack, he's looking at Jimmy Anderson, can't over bowl him, not his kind of pitch. Jofra Archer, great wicket-taking option, but he's not bowling his heart out. I'd love him to bowl a 3 or 4 over spell, bowling at 140 plus. But he also somewhere feels obliged to be bowling more for England. The 2 spinners, as Ian Bell mentioned, are slightly inexperienced. But having said all that, that must be not giving him the kind of confidence that you expect. But you saw Leach in the second innings getting the hang of things. These bowlers will learn as they bowl on a pitch like this. They're bowling a lot quicker. The ball that he bowled to Rohit Sharma was 90 kilometers plus. The first time he's bowled at that speed. So if Bess also learns quickly on this pitch, you don't need too much of artistry in the air. All you need is speed in the air, and thereby you get speed off the pitch with a turn. So if they do all that, you might just surprise India. And I also want to tell you, which was discussed at lunch. Now, India looks a great batting unit. They had one of the historic chases ever in Indian cricket in the last test that they played in Australia. It's also a team that was all out 36 on that particular trip. So, it's just set up nicely for the final day.
Yeah, we just don't like to predict things now because invariably these cricketers make us look silly. So we'll just let this play out. But I'll put this to rest before that, and then I'll come to the Rohit Sharma wicket. Let's put both of you in Joe Root's position. You know all the variables. You've discussed it at length now. What would you have done? Belly, you can go first. Would you have declared earlier at, say, 400 and then declare?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's very easy sat here in England trying to make those decisions. I agree. At the end of the day, it is a big decision. I think the way England have played, like I said, I don't think we haven't. I do believe England have dominated the first 3 Test matches, and we've sort of today. I thought India started off brilliantly with the bat, which is nearly they're just creeping themselves back into this game. I just think with the way that the guys have played so well, they deserve the opportunity or the biggest opportunity they can to win the game. And as I said, sometimes you've got to be brave enough to say, look, if India knock off 400 plus on the last day, then fair play. We've seen something pretty special. But I just hope that all the good work that hasn't gone in so far, India get 8 down, 9 down at the end of tomorrow. Yeah. I think would just be because we've been a little bit too cautious. So I would have liked to have thought I would have probably declared a little bit earlier in a positive manner and take that momentum into our bowling. As Sanjay said, we looked a little bit flat there. I thought there was some nice easy leads for Rohit Sharma early from Jofra. He wanted him to run in, high pace, nice and aggressive. And we've sort of just taken that bit of the batting into the fielding.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.